Taking a look at the weather systems. The one yesterday, well, it brought some activity to Northern California. Now it's sliding over Southern California. You can see a little bit of rain. We have a little bit of snow in through the Southern Sierra, and there's even a few lightning strikes associated with this weather system. We have another one that's moving in from the north, and this is what's helping to drive that onshore breeze. You can kind of see these two systems. Put an L over the one over Los Angeles, and there's another one that's moving in from the north, and this is bringing some cloud cover. And again, that delta breeze is helping to cool temperatures off for this morning. But more importantly, what I want to talk about is what's been happening down here in Southern California right now. We had happen yesterday afternoon in the Sierra. Look at this, a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow, but we also had a number of lightning strikes pop up, some thunderstorms. I don't know if you noticed it yesterday afternoon. If you were outside at all, you look off towards the east or towards the mountains, and you saw these billowing, towering clouds that were developing over the Sierra. Those were thunderstorm clouds, and we had them yesterday. This is that time frame, yesterday afternoon on into the evening. After the sun went down, thunderstorm activity kind of wound down. But we can expect to see some more today. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is a video that we have of some lightning strikes. Take a close look at these. Many of these were taken from around our area, Lake Tahoe, for instance. And look at the slow motion. You can see the movement of those lightning strikes, because that's the topic that I want to talk about today. Quite spectacular lightning, bright light flashing in the sky, followed by the rolling thunder. Look at that, another shot from Lake Tahoe. You can see those lightning strikes in the area. Ooh, there we go. And there's our rolling thunder. So let's go ahead and talk about some lightning facts. First one, what is lightning? Well, again, it's a spectacular sight and kind of scary at times if you're close to it. But what it is, lightning is actually just, it's electricity. It's electricity in motion. It's moving. It's moving from the cloud to the ground. That's one form of lightning. Other forms, most of them actually occur within the cloud itself. You can have inner cloud lightning with one particular thunderstorm and lightning strikes moving around within that thunderstorm. You can also have lightning going from one cloud off to another cloud. And you can have bolts of lightning that just go from a cloud into the open blue sky. It can go in all different directions. There's all types of lightning, but it's basically electricity that's moving around. It's also what we call a plasma. It's the fourth state of matter. You have solid, liquid, gas, and plasma, and that's where we have all those little electrons moving around, flowing. That's electricity in motion. So how wide is it? I take a look at this and you can see it, especially up here against the mountain. It looks like that's a pretty wide bolt of lightning that's up there, but in reality, what you're seeing here is mostly just the light that's coming from that. It's only anywhere between 1 to 2 inches wide. In fact, you might take out a ping pong ball if you have it and think, well, it's about this, the diameter of a lightning bolt. Why do I have a ping pong ball in my pocket? You don't want to ask. But that's about as thick as what a bolt of lightning is. So how wide is it? How long is it? Well, it can vary in length. It can vary quite a bit. But on average, bolts of lightning go between about 2 to 3 miles. That's a pretty long distance. Again, from the cloud to the ground or from the cloud off into the distance. It can move. Again, within the clouds, it can really move quite long distance there, again, 2 to 3 miles. How hot is it? This is a question I get asked all the time. How hot is lightning? Well, it's very hot. Again, a bolt of lightning can be around 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's several times the surface temperature of the sun. So that's some pretty hot plasma that's going through our air when that bolt of lightning goes across the sky. Another question that I get asked quite frequently is, how fast is lightning? Well, it's pretty fast. It's not quite the speed of light, even though you're seeing that light, that bright light coming from you at that speed. The actual lightning bolt itself travels at about 90,000 miles per second. Again, it's very, very fast, but again, not the speed of light. What about the study of lightning? What is that called? Well, if you're a person that studies lightning, you're a fulminologist, or it's fulminology is the study of lightning. And if you have a fear of lightning, anybody out there that has a fear of lightning? Well, then you might just have the fear of lightning, which is called astrophobia. My question is I wonder if there's any fulminologists that have astrophobia. It's possible. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about lightning. And again, electricity is something you're very familiar with. You use it every day of your life, but how does it get up in a cloud? How does that electricity form in the cloud? Let's go over to the whiteboard and talk a little bit more about the formation of lightning and how that happens. So, starting things off, what we need to know is that the wind plays a critical component here. With thunderstorms, what do you have? You have very strong updrafts. And so we're going to start off with the wind that's going up. We have our wind that's going up. When that air reaches a certain point, we talked about this in our last episode, you start to form cloud. Do you remember what that point is called? It's called the dew point. And this is where clouds form. So you have a line right there where the clouds start to develop. Condensation starts to begin. As that air gets pushed up, that's what gives it that kind of cauliflower look or cotton candy look. That mass of air blows up, and then we have this. This is the head of the cloud here. And so this column of air is rising very rapidly. It's going up and up and up and up. Now inside this cloud, there's 3 different areas. You have the lower area here, where most of the little molecules, not molecules, but the little particles of water are liquid. So this is the liquid area, where temperatures are basically below freezing or close to freezing. And then we have this second, or the middle zone in here, where you have supercooled, you still have liquid, but you also have areas of ice right there. So this is kind of that zone where you have both. And this is important because this is where we have the forces that are helping to develop the lightning, is in this area where you have the liquid and the ice. You have the formation of areas of ice with snow and other things. We have the hailstones that start to develop in that area, and also another thing called graupel. These are like little snow pellets that form. And it's the formation of this ice where we go from liquid to the solids. In this middle section here is what we need is the kind of the motor to generate the electricity within this thunderstorm cloud. And what's happening here is you have more of the snow-like particles. These here are being blown up. And then you have the snow pellets, or the graupel. These are the round, icy balls that are flowing down. And when these collide, what happens is you have the heavier particles of ice that come here to the base of the cloud, and you get a building up of electrons down here, or negative charges at the base of the cloud, where the positive, the lighter ice, goes up here to the top, and you get a general positive buildup of energy here. So you have the negative charges at the base of the cloud. Again, we're talking in general, positive here to the north, or to the upper part of the cloud. And also within the cloud, there's lots of motion going on. And so you have, again, pockets where you're going to have areas of positive charges, electric charges, and areas where you have negative electric charges, all building up in different areas of the cloud. But what happens is this builds here at the base of the cloud, these negative charges. At the surface, right down here, draw a little house right down here. We're going to go old school. I'm going to put a little TV antenna on top here. And you've got a door. There's your windows. There we go. That's our house. So down here what happens is you have the negative charge particles that are here at the base of the cloud. Well, guess what? Opposites attract. And when you have the negative charges building at the base of the cloud, positive ions start to build up here at the surface, and they all come flowing, and they want to go to high places. They want to go up. And so if you have a pole, like a flagpole here, I've got my flag waving like that. Those positive charges, they will all go up and extend to the top of that pole. And when you get the negative and the positive charges to touch, you'll get what's called a connection between the two, and a current flows. Those negative charges and the positive charges, they want to balance out. And that is how you get lightning. That's when you get that movement of those electrons from the cloud, between the cloud and the surface. You get that current of electricity and that bright flash of light, which is called lightning. So this is the general process that's been going on, and it's still under study. What's interesting about lightning is scientists, they know a lot about it, but we definitely don't know everything about it. So we're learning more stuff all the time about lightning. But in general theory, that's what's happening inside of your thunderstorm. And when we get those hailstones, they fall down to the ground kind of like a loose ping pong ball. So let's talk about that here. What I have is I brought my little plasma ball. And I'm going to bring it close to you so you can actually see what's going on in here. This is a plasma ball. And a plasma, remember we talked about that? Plasma is what lightning is made out of. And so you can see what we have, this glass ball, in the center of it is what's called a Tesla coil. And this Tesla coil is generating a lot of negative charge. So you're getting all the negative. And there's positive on the outside. So it wants to go from the negative to the positive. It wants to give me electrons. So when I touch it, look at that. It wants to give me all of those electrons there. Again, this is very weak, and what's inside of here is an inert gas. It's a gas, and what it is generally is going to be neon and argon. It's kind of a mix of gases that are inside this to give it the color that you see. Different gases give you different colors in the sparks, but that's what's happening right here. Is I have my own little lightning in a ball, a plasma ball that's created. Again, we have the negative, which is in the center, and then we have the positive, which would be out here, and it wants to attract to each other. And that's where we get our lightning. So there's my little plasma, that's our lightning strike, that's there. Now, the charges aren't necessarily always moving. So here we've got it moving. When the charges are building up in the cloud before we get the lightning that strikes, it's called static electricity, and you're probably very, very familiar with static electricity. Static electricity, we come in contact with that anytime you do the laundry. You don't put fabric softener in there. You get your stocks that stick together, and they rip apart because they want to just stick together because you got the opposite charges between them. That's what's called static electricity. So you can do this experiment at home too. This is a great one, especially if you have a brother or sister that has some shoulder length hair. That works out really well. But I need a volunteer to help me out with this. And I think, is it Mike, Lisa? No, how about Jennifer? You come on out. Jennifer, she's a director here, and she has volunteered not only herself, but also her hair for this demonstration. And she's got perfect hair for this. Long, straight hair works out really well. And this hopefully doesn't put a bad hair day into your day the rest of the day.
We'll see.
All right, let's go ahead. So what we want is we're going to have friction. And we have the electrons that are going to be in her hair right now are going to be transferring to the surface of the balloon. So as I rub this across her hair, oh my, those electrons are being gathered onto the balloon. And when they gather onto the balloon, the hair's losing the electrons, and so it wants to reattach. And so that's why you get this static electricity. It's not moving, it's staying still, but you see this connection between the hair of your head and the balloon. Look at that. You have perfect hair for this, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Has anybody ever told you that you have very attractive hair?
I don't think so.
No? Okay, well you do. Look at that. I've got proof. And now everybody at home watching Facebook Live has proof that Jennifer has attractive hair. Look at that. That goes all the way up. Now we could, in theory, get all of her hair to stand up like that, but we're not going to do that.
You can if you want.
But this is static electricity. This is electricity that is stationary. We still have that electric charge. We have the positive and we have the negative. So this would be like the base of the cloud. This would be the pole, the flagpole here, and they want to reach each other. And then once they reach, you get that connection. The current flows, and then you have your electricity flowing from the cloud to the ground. Now, Jennifer, something happens after lightning strikes.
What?
First comes the lightning, then comes
Thunder.
Thunder. So, what creates thunder? That's the lightning. The lightning creates the thunder. We talked about lightning and how hot it is. It's 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a very hot bolt of lightning. What that does is it heats up the air. So you have the bolt of lightning that comes down, you have the air that heats up around it, and when the air heats up, it expands, it gets bigger. And it gets bigger really, really fast, and so it creates an explosion. And that's the explosion that we hear as thunder after the lightning goes streaking across the sky. And so there we have it. We have our lightning, we created our lightning. We had our thunder, we talked about electricity as a current while it's moving, and as static electricity, which you showed us very well. That worked very well. You have perfect hair for that. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
And thank you for joining me today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to lead out with this with some more lightning because the video is just spectacular. I love to watch the lightning, but make sure that if you ever hear thunder or see lightning, get indoors. Don't go outside. That's not a good thing to do. But thank you so much for joining us today. And hopefully this inspired you to ask some more questions. Feel free to contact me either through the comments that you see right here on Facebook, or you can contact me at KCRA or deverdorn@hearst.com. That's what it is. deverdorn@hearst.com, HEARST, and ask me your questions, and we can talk about them right here on Facebook Live.